Hello, I'm Deb Morgan of Not a Rehearsal, and I've got the honour and the privilege of interviewing some of the contributing authors to MO2VATE magazine. MO2VATE magazine is a business magazine which is hosted by Revival Sanctuary and the brainchild of Sharon Brown. I'm joined today by Maxine King of Fresh Mindset Limited, and I'm going to talk to her a little bit about her article. Maxine, hello, thank you very much for joining me.
Well, thank you. I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm very pleased to be a part of the MO2VATE magazine as well. Very privileged.
It's a fantastic magazine. I've thoroughly enjoyed reading through it, and looking forward to future issues as well. Now, Maxine, I read your article, and you know it was inspiring. You wrote an article about inspiration and motivation. And I have to admit, I've never really considered the difference between the two as deeply as you have. Can you describe to me the difference between inspiration and motivation?
Yes, I can. So motivation is an external force an external energy that um, gets us excited about something. So it generates an energy that propels us forward, if you like. That's the motivation. But what we can do, so I don't know if you've heard of Tony Robbins, but I think most of us have, the inspirational speaker. He is excellent at going along to his meetings and actually getting everybody really excited. So when they walk out their room, they are so pumped up that they're ready to fire on every cylinder when they go out of the room. Now, what's important here is that the motivation, if oftentimes people can go home and the motivation will only last for a certain amount of time. So they need something else to keep that fired up. So the motivation, pretty much you can get motivated, but because it's an external force, it can deplete. Okay. So if we bring in the inspiration, which is an internal force, it's like the fire in your belly when you get really excited. It's the passion that you have going on inside of you. When you merge the motivation to align with your inspiration, you have an indomitable force there. So when difficulties start hitting, when you're coming from your passion and your inner drive, it's far easier to break through those difficulties, those obstacles that inevitably hit us along the way. And you need the passion in order for you to take the knocks and get back up and keep on going. So that to me is the difference. So when you harness these two energies together, you really do have a very powerful way forward, but one without the other, it's quite easy to deplete. So the inner inspiration, that equally can be dampened out if it hasn't got the other energy to keep it motivated. So you might have passion and desire in the belly, but you start going out and talking to people and they keep dampening it, which is something which is pretty common. Then the energy can be depleted. The same with the motivation. But as I say, put the two together and you really have got the whole package. You can start the momentum can just keep rolling from one to the other. So
Fabulous. So what motivates you? What's your passion?
Well, my passion in life, okay, love your question. My real big passion, what my goal is my passion is horses. I love horses, and I love people, and I love helping, and I love serving. So all of these things put together. And my goal is to have a farm with my horses and do leadership development days with horses, but bring in ex-foster children, so children who are no longer in the system, who have now left, and bring them in and teach them the leadership development with the horses, the horse management, get them in a safe environment to be around horses, which are absolutely brilliant leaders and are so good for grounding and mirroring people, that it would be a great opportunity for these kids who have been institutionalized, and suddenly, right, you're 18, you're out on your own, to give them a solid foundation where they can really find their feet and find some security. And then we will be doing leadership development days for big organizations and CEOs that will be coming in and being trained by these ex-foster kids. And I think the combination of big business people with these kids and the horses is just mind blowing. So I have done leadership development with horses and organizations, so I have that under my belt. I am trained to do that, so I really want to bring this all together and and make a big difference.
That's absolutely fantastic, and your passion just shone through there. But what's the inspiration behind that then? Because that's quite a niche thing to want to do. That's quite a niche passion, and people don't have to explain their passions. But what's the inspiration for that?
Well, it's several-fold, really. I mean, my passion is horses. I've had horses since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and I've been disconnected from them for a number of years now, and I want that reconnection because they are just a really good feed for me. They're a really good nourishment. I just love the energy being around horses. Ex-foster children, why? Well, several years ago, I went to Korea, South Korea, and I did some training, and I was very much on my spiritual path. And I can remember sitting in an audience watching this beautiful sort of qigong and all of these Koreans going up and doing some beautiful energy work up on stage. And it just came to me then, and this is a long time ago, I was thinking about fostering, but I had 2 children myself. It's just, I need to foster children. I'm so grateful that I didn't do that, because I was a single mum with 2 young children, and taking on foster kids, I think, would have unbalanced the whole, the dynamics would have shifted between my children and I. And I'm glad I put the importance of my own children, and because they needed me, rather than bringing in another equation. Now, over the years, it's just stuck with me. And I don't know what happened just a few years ago, through meditation. Actually, it's a calling. To be honest with you, it's a calling. This isn't something that I've made up. This is something that's come through me, and it feels right. It feels the right thing to do. And once I've got my organisation set up, I intend to replicate it and so help other people do similar things. And it might not be foster children ex-foster children that they're particularly assisting or supporting, or that might not be their sole focus, but they will all be to help the communities and get the whole, to put back something, let's to give people an opportunity, the less fortunate, to give them the stability. Because when we can give that love and the support to people who are struggling, when we get them out of that survival mode and where they can feel supported, you create a completely different energy, and they're able to progress so much and develop so much faster. When somebody's operating from that survive or from the survival, which is actually the reptilian part of our brain. And so there's some other work that I'm doing at the moment, which I'm loving, which is all about breaking through that through breath work and energy work that actually stops people functioning from the reptilian part of the brain, and allow the energy to flow through and get the whole brain, the left and the right hemispheres, working together, balancing out. Because we've been brought up in a society where we're very left brained, where we analytical and working things out, to the detriment of the right side of our brain, which is our creative side. And this is about balancing them both, because they're equally as important. And through this balance, what we're then doing is the creativity, we're getting the energy to the frontal lobe, which is enabling us to then find out, right, we start getting back our gut feeling, our intuition, and the creativity starts flowing through. So it's all very fascinating stuff. And as you can see, I'm very passionate about
It
that.
sounds fascinating, and your passion is just evident. It's jumping off the screen. It really is. And that leads me on to something else. Reading your article, and we had a brief conversation before we started this interview, and there are themes running through. And I was reading your article, and I have to be honest, initially I looked at it and it said, inspiration and motivation. I thought, oh, here we go again, another article to inspire and motivate. Then I started reading, and there were terms in there like energetic force and magic and energy and passion. And I thought, there's something else going on here.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else behind this woman writing this. And we had a conversation before the interview started, and you told me that you talk a lot about energy and you work with energy. Can you give me a little bit more insight into what it is you do?
Okay, so I do the inner work. So 95% of us are working actually from the survival part of the brain, which is very external. We're working, we're wanting things to change in our life through strategies, through control, if you like. And I'm here to change the way people are thinking about things, because that is not the way to do it. You can get there doing it from strategies and driving and pushing and shoving, but that doesn't give you the same results. As that's a lot of hard work, and I've done that for years. I mean, one of the things that I say over and over again, I've spent my life sort of pushing a boulder up a hill and just really struggling and pushing and shoving and making things happen, and I'm going to do this, and it's sort of like, a real driving force. And it got to a point where I was exhausting myself, and I hit a wall, and it was like, I don't know if I want to get back up. I actually got to a point where it was, I don't think I want to get back up, because I didn't want to have that feeling of being bowled over again and sort of having to start all over again, because that takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort. So I thought, right, I need to look at this from a completely different angle. I cannot come from this from the same place. And it's not that I'm not capable enough, or, I had all the attributes to be an extremely successful person, but it seemed to me that I'd get to a glass ceiling, and then I'd sort of have to go through the whole loop again. So I could get to a certain reasonable level, but I wanted to get through that and go further. So one of the things I thought was come from a different angle, and being a spiritual person, I had a good understanding of energy. And the other feeling that I had inside was, I knew I was blocking myself. I knew I was standing in my own way, but I had not a clue how to get out of my own way. I didn't know what to do, but it was like, banging, it was banging me on the forehead, you're in your own way, do something. It's like, okay, what do I need to do different? And so I started working on energetically. I started looking at energy, and what I realized was that our self-worth actually plays an enormous part in the energetic field that we have around us. So we have an electromagnetic field around us. I don't know if you're aware of this. We are just bundles of energy. We're atoms, we're vibration. We are all vibrating at different frequencies. And okay, so our thoughts and our emotions. Right, so I'm going to talk about the brain quickly. We've got a triune brain, 3-tiered. So it started off with the reptilian brain, which is all about survival. It literally is keeping our blood pressure, our temperature, everything working, our breaths, our heart beating. That's what the reptilian brain did. does. And then it moved on to the mammalian brain, which is to do actually with emotions. And it's advancing a little bit more. So we would be triggered by certain things, and we could fear, fight, flight, or freeze, these sort of things. That's what the mammalian brain, it developed from there. And then us humans developed the neocortex, the thinking brain, on top, the rational brain. So we've developed speech, and we've been able to communicate at a different level. Okay, but where you think of it, the emotional brain, you've got the reptilian, then the emotional, then the thinking brain on top. So every thought we think about it, has to have an emotion attached to it, because the emotions came first. So every emotion we have has a vibrational frequency. So effectively, the word's going to be linked to that emotion, okay? So every word we say has a vibrational frequency that matches with it. Now, on my website, I have a vibrational frequency chart, and I recommend people go and have a look at it. Go and check it out. So the higher so we've got a 0 point, which is, it's the best place to be if you're suffering with lower vibrations. It's about bringing yourself up to 0. But the lower vibrations are sort of like hate, anger, fear. They're all lower vibrations, okay? Then we get to the 0 point, and then they start coming up with, do you know what, I cannot think. There's love, there's courage, there's all these different things, and sort of like enlightenment, you get to enlightenment right at the top. But there are different stages. Now, depending on where you are, could be, so if we say depression, we'll go right to the bottom where we've got depression. Now, depression is all about everything shutting down and contracting, getting smaller. And even if you look at somebody, their shoulders come in, everything shrinks, the world shrinks. But I tell you what, you could, with breath work, you can actually help. And I know it sounds as simple as breath work. Yes, breath work, when you bring the breath work into everything, it really has the capability of shifting a whole load of things. Right, now, I hope I'm not going off track, because I've got so much going on in my head. What I want to say is, when we get emotions trapped in our, right, so when we get fearful, or when not very good things happen to us, we get like these crystallized formations that get stuck in our body. Can you believe that? When I found this out, I was like, really? So they get lodged in our body, and mainly they're sort of in our chakra area, from our belly button up to our sternum. We've got 3 chakras there, which are really important, and then others that go up. And so we've also got fiber optic cable going up our spine, okay, which has electrical impulses that go through. Now, when we hit depression, all of our cells start shrinking, because contracting, and these crystals that form in our body actually prevent the energy from flowing. They get blocks. So right now, and there's, when we get this energy moving through our body, and we start releasing the blocks, which we can do easily. Yeah, it is quite easy, but it's difficult. You've got to work at it, but it's easily enough done. When we get rid of these crystal formations in our body and release the energy, we're then being able to transmute that energy and create it into something that we want. So it's the let's say the art of manifestation. What do they call it?
So is this
the law of attraction? The
Okay.
law of attraction. Okay, so this is all to do with energetically. And when we have the whole of our energy in alignment and flowing, and without these crystals actually create distortions in our communication, in our energetic communication. So okay, we're like an antenna, we are like a transmitter of frequencies. And right, we're a transmitter of frequencies, and these blocks prevent, and we can manifest whatever we want. Whatever we want, we can actually create through our energetic field, but it all has to be in alignment. Otherwise, there's distortion in the transmission. So we could be saying, I want, I don't know, I want my farm. Okay, I want my farm. Oh my God, it's not happening. It's not happening. But when we start getting the energies flow, we can create, and watch this space, because I'm going out to Portugal the end of this month to start looking at properties over there, because that's where I'm wanting to start it up. So it's all heading in the right direction. So yes, energy is all, it's about understanding how energy works, how we think, how we operate, and getting ourselves to the optimum of operating so that we can bring the joy into our life. You know, there are so many people, as I say, that are living on survival, that and it's not a happy place to be. So when we're coming from survival, we really are functioning from the lower vibrations, and it's about shifting them, not from there to there because the gap's too big, but, you know, starting heading in the right direction. Compound interest is another thing that I love. Einstein said it was the eighth wonder of the world, and he absolutely is right. So if you take one small step every single day towards your goal, you will get there. You will get there because you have set the sails and you are heading in that direction. Now, the other thing that you need to do is you do one thing every day to head towards that goal, but you have to make sure that your sail is set and it's staying on target. It's heading towards that, because sometimes we get distracted, and even a compound interest works in the opposite direction too. So if you start heading off 1 degree and you don't check it and get it back on in alignment, before you know it, you're 45 degrees off, you know. So there are certain things that you need to do in order to get the energy to work and for everything to move. And I can help people do that.
This is absolutely fascinating, Maxine, and I could talk to you for hours and hours about this subject. To think that we got to there from inspiration and motivation, which to a lot of people would be quite a dry subject. You've just shown there are so many layers to that. And then when you delve a bit deeper and when you start working on it and you want to work on it, there's so many other places you can go. You know, long since are gone are the days where inspiration and motivation were just buzzwords thrown out at management conferences in big corporates. You know, it really is a fascinating area of interest, a fascinating area to go into when you work on the energy as well around it, and you throw in, you know, you've talked about the passion. You talked so passionately about everything this afternoon. It's been absolute delight to talk to you. As I've said, I could talk to you for hours and hours on end about this subject. I know that you focus on energy in terms of wealth as well, and you've got a program, you've got an ebook called The Inner Game of Wealth. I saw that within the magazine. Fascinating. And I think anybody wanting to speak to you will find they will learn something from you about energy, applying it to any areas of their life. But just before we sum up, Maxine, what are your 4 key bits of advice for people to become inspired and motivated?
My 4 keys: first of all, find your heart. Find your heart. That's where you're going to find your passion. But sadly, a lot of people have been on this humdrum for so long that they don't even know what excites them. Find your passion. Get your passion. Once you find your passion, you've started the ball rolling. The momentum's already started going. So the next one I would say, when you find your heart and you start heading towards it, when things come up for you and you think, oh, I'd like to do that, or that's going to help me, say yes. Learn to say yes. So many people, they start seeing opportunities arise and then, oh, I can't because I don't have enough money, or I can't because I don't have enough time, or there are excuses. Okay. So start listening to what you're saying. Is 3, be really clear on what your stories are, what's holding you back, because when you keep saying no, you're not honoring yourself, you're not you're not nourishing yourself. So in order for you to grow, you are going to need help. Okay, so there we go. 4, number 4, look for people to help support you. Don't try and do this on your own. Find somebody who's already whatever it is that you're looking for, find somebody who's already done it and go to them, get the experience of them, and you'll miss out a whole load of, well, 1, you're going to miss out a whole load of problems that come, but 2, you're going to be putting yourself in the energy that's going to support you and help move you forward to whatever your next step is. And 5, be kind to yourself. Just be kind. You know, when things don't quite go your way, try not to sit there and beat yourself up, be angry with yourself. That serves nobody, keeps you in the lower vibrations. Just, oh, well, shrug your shoulders, take a deep breath and carry on. Don't let that hold you back anymore. And that's my
fabulous
tips.
Thank you. Fantastic, Maxine. And if you want to find out more about the work Maxine does or to read her article, go to MO2VATE.com. That's MO2, the number 2, MO, number 2, VATE.com. And you will find Maxine's article in the first issue of MO2VATE magazine. And you can find out more about Maxine, inspiration, motivation, passion, energy work, and the inner game of wealth. Maxine, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. I just want to say I'm also on the back page of the second. I've got the full back page of the second MO2VATE magazine, so you can find me there too. Thank you for such a wonderful time that we've had together and giving me an opportunity to speak.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Maxine.
Thank you.